The next session is with a client named Stacey, and it's one of my favorite sessions again. Stacey provides a really great example of finding the root of an issue. She initially comes because of a mix of emotions. More particularly, she feels a little bit of anxiety and fear of people judging her. She works as an interior decorator, and she sometimes worries about her clients maybe disapproving of the work that she's doing. And so when I ask her, what's your earliest memory of this same feeling? We uncover and discover that it's really about her relationship with her dad. And there's a lot of tears flowing. It's a bit of an emotional session, but she provides a really great example of how there's a little girl inside that's still longing for dad's approval, and how she, at some level, still continues to operate from that in the work that she does now as an adult. And you'll hear the analogy more than once in these EFT sessions, how I really encourage my clients to find the root of the issue or guide them into that process to find the root of the weed, so to speak. Because if we cut the weed off at the top, chances are pretty good the weed's going to grow back. So it's really important, and Stacey's example is a really good explanation of how to find the root of the weed and pull it out from the root so that she can be free and stop operating from that place. So I hope you get a lot out of it. Stacey, thank you for coming today. I really appreciate you. Coming in. So
thank you for having me.
Thanks. You wanted to start today on a little bit of you have a little bit of anxiety, or all these emotions that you feel like you kind of keep up inside. And there's something else you mentioned about not how you respond when people ask you to do something or tell you to do something.
Right.
Maybe you can tell me a little bit more about that.
Ever since probably my childhood, I was always kind of the creative kid that did not fit with the rest of the family, did not fit the mold that should have been there, and with a strict father growing up. So anything I tried to do my way wasn't right. So it was, I'd get grounded for every little thing I tried to do, or told that I was doing things wrong. So now, even to this day, when somebody tells me I'm doing it wrong, or I just clam up, or if I'm doing something at a client's house or for somebody else, I'm like always thinking, is it going to be good enough? Am I going to meet their expectations?
So it's like second guessing yourself?
Yes.
Is it like almost a lack of confidence in your ability and the way you do things?
I'm confident in how I do it, but halfway through the project, I kind of think how they're going to see it, and I hope they see it the way I see it.
Because you do interior design,
yeah,
right? So you're going into somebody else's home, and you think it's great.
Exactly.
You're tapping into that creative outlet, and meanwhile you're worried about what are people going to think.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Does that impede your work at progress, your work at all?
I don't think so, but it does sometimes overwhelm me. Like I do interior painting as well. So if I'm painting in a client's house, I'm thinking, okay, if I don't have a perfectly straight line, is it going to be noticed? Or just small little things like that. So I'm picking at my own work before they've even said it or seen it, or
they're concerned about it, and they could be thinking, oh my god, it's fabulous.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but you feel aware in your physical body when it comes out.
Absolutely.
In your stomach and your...
Oh, yeah.
Can you think of a particular example? Where you were kind of really worried about what people are going to think?
Just in the work aspect. I was recently working in a client's house, and she was, not to use the word, let's say, most picky.
Right, she was choosy about how things were done. Particular.
Very particular in every little thing. Like, you could not move one thing and she would move it back. And I had some contractors in there ahead of time, and she was complaining about what they were doing. And then I went in to paint. So the whole time I was painting, because she was picky about everything else and it wasn't done to her perfection, I was really hard on myself for the whole 2 weeks I was in there on what I was doing. And it just totally stressed me out for like the whole 2 weeks I was in there doing work.
Because you were worried about what she's going to think.
Yeah, I was worried about her not approving.
Okay, so we'll start at the sore spot. Even though I have this worry that people won't approve of me. Or the work that I'm doing. Especially if it's not perfect. And just the way that they want it to be done. Regardless of that. I can love and accept myself. Fully and completely. Inner part of the eyebrow. What if it's not perfect? All these people. Have so many expectations
of me.
They want it done just so. What if I don't do it right?
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 This fear won't be good enough.
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 First finger, this fear won't be good enough.
This fear won't be good enough.
Middle finger, this fear won't be good enough.
This fear won't be good enough.
Pinky finger, what if I don't do it right?
What if I don't do it right?
Karate chop points together, what if I don't do it right?
What if I don't do it right?
Especially that lady. Oh, she had so many expectations. Made me so nervous. About doing it right. Back of the hand. Close. Open. Down hard right. Down hard left. Biggest circle you can find. And then the other direction with the eyes. We'll hum happy birthday together. Count to 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That lady
had
so many expectations. Man, she made me nervous. Didn't think I could do it right. Afraid to make mistakes. Man, she'd be upset with me. This fear I wouldn't do it right. We'll go right to karate chop point. This fear I wouldn't do it right. Take a deep pull back in. Out. Usually I would scale that on a scale of 1 to 10 before we start. And we didn't do that, but what is it now when you think about that lady and all the expectations she had? How do you feel about it?
I still feel a responsibility to it, but my anxiety of it is a lot less.
What's the anxiety on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'd say maybe 1 or 2 at this point.
Okay. And what's the responsibility to do it right? Like pressure? Is it pressure or is it...
It's still my responsibility to do it right. I mean, it is my company and it's my responsibility for everybody that I bring in to do it right. So that's still always going to be there, quite high.
So like a 9 or 10?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to anxiety. So you're kind of anxious about making sure you did it right. Let's do this anxious feeling. What would that lady say? What would she do? If I didn't do it perfectly. She wanted everything done perfectly. This anxious feeling. She wanted everything done perfectly. This anxious feeling. Okay. Middle finger. She wanted everything done perfectly. Middle finger. This anxious feeling. She wanted everything done perfectly. I better meet those expectations. Back of the hand and that gamut point. We're going to do something different. It's floor to ceiling eye roll. So you're going to look ahead and at the floor and just say this remaining anxious feeling. Slowly look at the ceiling without moving the head. This remaining anxious feeling. Good. Looking up, up, up. Good. Release this remaining anxious feeling. And that lady had a lot of expectations. And I felt kind of anxious. About making sure I meet them. This remaining anxious feeling. Karate chop point. This remaining anxious feeling. Check in with the anxious feeling. So she was really particular. Like you couldn't move anything without her kind of getting upset, or.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
I'd have to pretty much clean her entire house before I left every day.
Instead of just coming back and doing it. Yeah. And how anxious do you feel when you think about it?
I'm not very anxious anymore.
And what about the responsibility?
In that particular instance?
Yeah.
I think I've let it go.
Is responsibility something that you feel a lot with other things? Or often with other things in your...
In life in general?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I take on a lot of responsibility on my shoulders.
Yes. Everyone else's feelings, everyone else's problems.
Yeah.
Where do you think that comes from?
I don't know.
Let's see what comes up. Even though on a scale of 1 to 10, how much or how often do you feel like you have to take on other people's feelings and other people's problems?
Every time the phone rings and the conversation comes up, my friends call me just for that reason, because they know I'm going to take it on for them. They allow me to take it on for them.
Or you allow...
Or I allow them to
even though I take on everyone else's problems.
Even though I take on everyone else's problems.
Man, that's a big job.
I
gotta figure out how to not do that anymore. I can love and accept myself. Anyway. Even though I've gotten to this pattern. Taking on everyone else's problems. I'm not even sure where that pattern comes from. But maybe I can let go of it. This pattern. Taking on everyone else's. Problems. Responsibilities. Taking on everyone else's emotions. Taking on everyone else's problems. Like they call me. Because I have this neon sign. It says, don't worry, Stacey will do it. She'll take care of your problems. She'll listen to you. She'll take away all those emotions for you. She'll process it all for you. So that you don't have to do it. But that's not helping Stacey.
At all.
Good. Back at the can. Close. Open. Down hard right. Down hard left. Biggest circle you can find. Good. Other direction. We'll do happy birthday together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Taking on everyone else's problems. For some reason. I think it's my responsibility. I'll process everyone else's emotions for them. So that they don't have to do it. But that's not helping me at all. I'm not even sure why I do it. But I'm going to be open. To seeing and understanding. Why it is that I do it. So I can get out of that pattern. That pattern I have. Of taking on everyone else's problems and emotions. Maybe I can let that pattern go. Maybe I can let that pattern go. Deep pull breath in. Out. So I'm going to assume that was really true for you. On a scale of 1 to 10, it's probably a 10 in terms of, yeah, that's really true for me. That's really what my life is like. So just say out loud, I have this thing where I take on everyone else's problems. Give me a number when you say that, in terms of how true it feels for you.
You can say about 8.
Anything else that comes to mind? What's the first thing that comes to mind?
The anxiety I have because of that.
Anxiety is separate from it, though, right?
Well, it's because I'm taking on other people's emotions and problems, and I don't let it bounce off me. I soak it in, so then it stays in my stomach, and then I have this anxiety feeling in my stomach because I don't know how to let these horrible emotions go.
Do you have anxiety in your stomach now? No.
Not at this moment.
Okay.
No.
Even though I get all these anxious feelings.
Because
I have that pattern. Taking on everyone else's problems. I can love and accept myself. Fully and completely. Good. Even though I still have some of this pattern. Of taking on everyone else's emotions. I don't know why I do it. Because it causes me so much anxiety. I have all this anxiety I feel in my stomach. Why do I do that? I can love and accept myself anyway. Fully and completely. Give myself permission. To get out of that pattern. Give others permission. To deal with their own problems. And their own emotions. Good. This pattern I have. Of taking on everyone else's problems. Everyone else's emotions. Processing them for them. Causing me so much anxiety. All this anxiety I get. Processing everyone else's problems. All this anxiety I get. Dealing with everyone else's problems. Deep full breath in. Out. And just say I get a lot of anxiety because I take on everyone else's problems. Give me a number. How true it feels for you.
4.
Even
That's a big one.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah.
And it's probably we're gonna have to break it down a little bit. But let's do maybe 1 or 2 more rounds in the general way, and then we'll see what comes. We'll see what comes up because there's something underneath that too, right? Even though I still have some of this anxious feeling.
Even though I still have some of this anxious feeling.
Because I'm so tired of dealing with everyone else's problems.
I'm so tired of dealing with everyone else's problems.
And helping them process all their emotions.
I
can love and accept myself.
I can love and accept myself.
Fully and completely.
Fully and completely.
Good. This remaining anxious feeling.
I'm
so tired of dealing with everyone else's problems.
I'm so tired of dealing with everyone else's problems.
Are you tired of it?
I am tired of it.
Good. This remaining anxious feeling. So many people's problems to deal with. Just take on all their emotions.
I don't
know how to get rid of them. Sure like to know how. Maybe I can let them process. Their own emotions. And not take it on. Maybe I can let them process. Their own problems and emotions. And not take it on myself. Allow myself. To let go of that pattern. Good. Deep full breath in. Out. So you have this pattern where you take on other people's stuff all the time.
Even feelings. I've always kind of thought of myself, and this is an odd way of putting it, but as a chameleon.
Yeah.
If I'm sitting in a room with someone like you who has that light, full, kind energy, that's how I feel. If I'm sitting in a room with a person who is stressed to the hilt and swearing and yelling, then I take on that stress.
Like you have to feel that way too.
Right. And I've always kind of been that way. Don't know why, don't know how, but that's
What's your earliest memory of that same feeling?
Probably would be with my dad, because he didn't approve. So anytime that he got angry, I would go and climb up. So my reaction, instead of voicing my opinion, was to take everything inside and just hold it there, because I didn't have permission. I thought I was doing wrong, and I didn't have permission to say anything. So I would just take it and clam it up. So
do you have a specific memory when that happened? Like this one time when I brought home grades from school, or
Well, this one time I'm just thinking I was walking to my girlfriend's house, who we lived out in the country, and a block out in the country is a pretty big block. So I had to walk across a set of train tracks, down a highway street, and down a side street. And before I got to the set of the train tracks, which was only about 4 houses down, my dad drove up and was yelling at me from the overpass to get my butt home, because he just called my friend's mother, and I didn't have permission to go over there.
And do you remember that day clearly?
And I did have permission to go over there. She had just gotten home and didn't know, but I had. So it was just, there was never any trust there. Like, everything I did, he would check on me, and there was never that trust level.
So you got in trouble from Dad?
Yeah.
How bad did you feel?
Horrible.
Give me a number.
I felt like I had no control over my own life.
But on that specific day, on that train tracks, Dad pulling up, what was the particular emotion? I'm a bad kid? I was frustrated and anxious, because I knew I was right, but I still had to do what Dad said, because he was the authority figure. Can you give me a number?
About that day? I'd say an 8. Yeah.
Even though I got in trouble that day. And I couldn't tell my dad that I did have permission.
When I
did have permission to go to my friend's house.
And
I wasn't able to say anything. And that really frustrates me. I can love and accept myself. Fully and completely. I can forgive myself. And maybe one day. Forgive my dad. For overreacting the way he did. Did he overreact?
He did overreact.
My dad overreacted. Didn't make me feel very good. I had permission to go over. I couldn't say anything to him. Sure would have liked to. Couldn't say anything. He was the authority figure. Not allowed to say anything. He's the authority figure. Even though he kind of overreacted. Yeah. Get back in the hand. Close. Open. Right. Left. Big circle. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll do floor to ceiling eye roll. Keep tapping the back of the hand. Good. That day at the train tracks. Dad overreacted. I wasn't allowed to say anything. He's the authority figure. Wasn't allowed to say anything. He's the authority figure. But I didn't do anything wrong. I had permission to go over. I wasn't allowed to say anything though.
I wasn't allowed to say anything then.
Dad's the authority figure.
Dad's the authority figure.
Not allowed to say anything.
Not allowed to say anything.
Even if you kind of overreacted.
Even if he kind of overreacted.
Deep flow back in. Out. And then go back to the image. Dad's pulling up. You're about to get to the train tracks. You're going to your friend's house. He says, get your butt home. How do you feel, or what comes up, and what's the number?
I feel sadness.
Oh, the sadness. That's okay. That's totally normal. The sad feeling.
The sad feeling.
The sad feeling.
The sad feeling.
The sadness.
The sadness.
Why are you sad?
Why are you sad?
No, why? Why do you feel sad about that?
Because we didn't have a good relationship because of it.
We didn't have a good relationship.
Growing up, he was always very stern.
The sad feeling.
The sad feeling.
I would have liked a better relationship with my dad.
I would have liked a better relationship with my dad.
That's a big one.
Don't start.
The sad feeling.
The sad feeling.
The sad feeling. The sad.
Sad feeling.
Floor to ceiling. The sad feeling.
The sad feeling.
Okay. The sad feeling. Okay. Inner part of the eyebrow. Just keep telling me the sad feeling.
The sad feeling.
Dad was so stern.
Dad was so stern.
The sad feeling.
The sad feeling.
Stay with me. The sad feeling.
The sad feeling.
He was so distant.
He was so distant.
All he did was yell at me.
All he did was yell at me.
And tell me what I did wrong.
Tell me what I did wrong.
Never told me what I did right.
Never told me what I did right.
I would have been nice though.
Would have been nice though.
Because I tried really hard to do things right.
I tried really hard to do things right.
That's all I did.
That's all I did.
Was try to do things right.
Try to do things right.
And it seemed like all he ever did was yell at me.
It seemed like all he did was yell at me.
And I was the bad one.
And I was the bad one.
I was the bad one.
I was the bad one.
At least in Dad's eyes.
At least in Dad's eyes.
But maybe that's just in his eyes.
So maybe that's just in his eyes.
Doesn't really mean that I'm bad.
Doesn't really mean that I'm bad.
No. Doesn't really mean that I'm bad.
Doesn't really mean that I'm bad.
Okay. Close. Open. Right. Left. Biggest circle you can find. Other direction. Okay. Floor to ceiling eye roll. This sad feeling.
The sad feeling.
I wasn't as close with Dad.
I wasn't as close with Dad.
As what I'd like to have been.
That's what I'd like to have been.
Okay. This remaining sad feeling.
This remaining sad feeling.
Dad was so stern.
Dad was so stern.
This remaining sad feeling.
This remaining sad feeling.
Dad was so stern.
Dad was so stern.
Could never do anything right.
Could never do anything right.
Just felt like he yelled at me all the time.
Just felt like he yelled at me all the time.
Like I was the bad one.
Like I was the bad one. This wasn't included.
This remaining sad feeling.
This remaining sad feeling.
Maybe I can let it go.
Maybe I can let it go.
And love and accept myself.
And love and accept myself.
And all my creative abilities.
And all my creative abilities.
Just the way I am.
Just the way I am.
Okay. Take a deep breath in. Just go exhale. Just say, that's good though, because that's what's really underlying your drive to try and please, right?
Right.
The drive to try to please the lady that you're painting for, who appears to be very critical, is actually because your brain is viewing it through that lens that I can never do anything right for Dad. So we kind of carry that pattern and view the world from that lens, because Dad was so stern I could never do anything right. So obviously you were 11 on a scale of 1 to 10 when that sad feeling was obviously 10 or 11.
Yeah.
But go back and scale it now. Just say I'm really sad that I wasn't as close with my dad. I felt like I could never do anything right for him. Give me a number.
6.
That's good. We're going to do a couple more rounds because it's probably pretty big. Okay. How do you know you're sad? In here?
Yeah.
What are you most sad about? That he was so stern with you when you could never please?
That, and we didn't have a relationship because of it. We just, even to this day, if I try to talk to him,
that's awkward.
I'm wrong.
Oh.
He's very one way. Like he's
really the right way.
That's it.
Is he like?
There's no.
Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, they all feel the same as me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And
none of us can voice it or have. I have a brother and sister, so there's 3 of us.
And your mom?
My mom, I feel sorry for her.
So let's go back to remaining sad feeling. We'll do another couple rounds on that. Even though I still have some of the sad feeling left.
Even though I still have some of this sad feeling left.
Because I didn't have a close relationship with my dad.
Because I didn't have a close relationship with my dad.
And I might never have a close relationship.
And I might never have a close relationship.
Because it doesn't seem like he's changing at all.
Because it doesn't seem like he's changing at all.
His way is the right way.
His way is the right way.
There's nothing I can do.
There's nothing I can do
to change that.
Or
convince him.
That
maybe my way.
That maybe my way.
Is the right way too. Regardless of all of that.
I
can give myself permission.
To
love and accept myself. And all my creative abilities. Fully and completely. This remaining sad feeling. Nothing I can do is right for Dad. And we have such a distant relationship. Because of that. This remaining sad feeling. Nothing I can do for Dad. Is ever good enough. It's never right. This remaining sad feeling. This remaining sad feeling. Nothing I can do is ever right. He's right. His way is the only way. Part of that kind of bothers me. And that's the reason why we can't have a close relationship. Deep for breath in. And just check in with sad feeling that my dad and I can't have a close relationship because he's so stern about things and he's always got to be right.
Still makes me very sad. Not to the point where I'm bawling anymore, but it does. It makes me sad. You should be able to have that relationship.
Oh, give me a number. A sad number.
4.
Okay. Even though I still have some of the sad feeling.
Because
part of me feels like I should be able to have that relationship with my dad. Even though I still have some of the sad feeling. Because there's part of me that believes. I should be able to have a relationship with my dad. Regardless of that. I can love and accept myself. Fully and completely. And maybe one day. Accept my dad. Just for who he is. This remaining sad feeling.
That's a big one too. This remaining sad feeling.
I don't want to accept my dad. For who he is. I want him to accept me. Stop being so stern. Stop being so stubborn. Stop seeing only your point of view. And maybe start seeing his daughter's point of view. Yeah. It's remaining sad feeling. I wish my dad and I had a better relationship. And we should, shouldn't we? This should statement. We should have a set. Back of the hand. Close. Open. Down hard right. Down hard left. Biggest circle you can find. Good. Other way. Good. Count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This remaining, keep tapping back of the hand. This remaining sad feeling. We should have a better relationship. He should stop being so stern. This remaining sad feeling. This remaining sad feeling. We should have a better relationship. This remaining sad feeling. Wish my dad wasn't so stern. Wish he could see my point of view. Maybe that's not available to him.
Maybe
he's not able to do that. Or maybe I'm able to do that. Deep full breath in. Out. And just check in with. It's funny how it unfolds, eh? Let's say something else came up for you. It was not necessarily the should statement, but the. What was it? The should statement? You had a bit of a. I could see your face. It's like, oh yeah, that's it.
No, that I have to learn to accept that that's the way he is.
And
I've said that over and over in my head, but the emotional attachment is still there.
Yeah, I don't want to accept him for who he is. I want him to be less stern and more... What would you like him to be?
Right now, at this point, I just want to accept him for the way he is, because as my entire family says, is none of us are going to change him. So we have to change in order to build that relationship. Mm-hmm. And we have to learn that...
But that won't be the extent of the relationship.
That's as far as it's going to go.
Mm-hmm. Is there any sad feelings about that? Check in with sadness again.
Tear sadness to the point where I'm feeling sad, but is probably a 1 right now, but I still feel sad because it should be there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's...
So it's more like...
I wish it was there, maybe, but I have to realize that it's not.
Even though part of me... Even though there's probably a little girl inside me.
Even though there's probably a little girl inside me.
Who still wishes for a better dad.
Who still wishes for a better dad.
Or a different dad.
Or a different dad.
This remaining sad feeling.
Like you. This remaining sad feeling.
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 This little girl inside.
This little girl inside.
That still wishes for a different dad.
Still wishes for a different dad.
One that would stop yelling at her.
One that would stop yelling at her.
One that would stop being so stern.
One that would stop being so stern.
Good. This remaining sad feeling.
This remaining sad feeling.
I promise the grass is greener on the other side.
I promise the grass is greener on the other side.
This remaining sad feeling.
This remaining sad feeling.
This little girl inside.
This little girl inside.
That wishes for a different dad.
That wishes for a different dad.
Maybe she can come to a place of acceptance.
Maybe she can come to a place of acceptance.
Loving and accepting her dad.
Loving and accepting her dad.
For who he is.
For who he is.
And for who he can be.
And for who he can be.
Because maybe that's all he can be.
Because maybe that's all he can be.
This remaining sad feeling.
This remaining sad feeling.
Okay. Close. Open. Down hard right. Down hard left. Biggest circle you can find. Other way. One, two, three, four, 5. This remaining sad feeling.
This remaining sad feeling.
The little girl inside.
The little girl inside.
Still wishes for a different dad.
Still wishes for a different dad.
This remaining sad feeling.
This remaining sad feeling.
This remaining sad feeling.
This remaining sad feeling.
Outside. This remaining sad feeling.
Remaining sad feeling.
Little girl inside.
Little girl inside.
Still wishes for a different dad.
Still wishes for a different dad.
One that would stop yelling at her.
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 Stop yelling at me.
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 Just accept me for who I am.
Just accept me for who I am. So I can accept me for who I am.
So I can accept me for who I am.
So I can accept me for who I am.
I can accept me for who I am.
I can accept me for who I am.
Okay. Deep full breath in. And out. Who knew there was sadness underneath all of that? But the beauty is that as you work through it, experience it, process it, tap it away, you'll begin to see how everything else changes. The fear and anxiety that you have around disapproval begins, because we could tap on this fear of disapproval, but the more that we can go back to the root of it, the more that the quicker that it dissipates entirely from your whole life. Because we could, like, imagine like a weed.
Right.
And the root of the weed is, Dad always disapproved of me, always was so stern, always yelling at me, I wish he was different. And from that root grows this weed that seeps into different parts of your life, like working and having this lady fearing that this person will disapprove of you in different areas, like maybe it's even the littlest thing. Now we can do EFT on this fear that this lady at work is going to disapprove of me, but that's like chopping the weed off at the top. And if I can go and take the weed out from the root, then you begin to flourish in all of your unlimited potential, right? Because the weed might grow back if we just do the surface stuff. So it's not necessarily as pleasant, if I can use that word loosely, to deal with the root.
Especially when you're in video.
Yeah. to deal with the root is a little more, takes someone who's a bit more brave. But it's knowing that unlimited potential lies beyond that. Mm-hmm. So go back in and check. Just say, there's a little girl inside me who really wishes Dad was different.
There's a little girl inside me who really wishes Dad was different.
Okay. Give me a number. Scale of 1 to 10. I would guess it was a 10 because we were crying. So sometimes we don't scale.
Yeah. 5.
Okay. Is it the little girl sadness? Like, does that ring for you? Is there something else? If there's something else and there's another word to add in, by all means, feel free to, while we're tapping, add it in, or let me know in between.
No, it's...
Stop yelling at me.
That little girl that just didn't have that.
Mm-hmm. Even though
I
still have some of the sad feeling left.
I still have some of the sad feeling left.
There's that little girl inside me.
There's that little girl inside me.
That's just longing for Dad's approval.
That's just longing for Dad's approval.
Is that true? Yeah. This longing for Dad's approval.
This longing for Dad's approval.
And the sadness that surrounds it.
And the sadness that surrounds it.
This longing for Dad's approval.
This longing for Dad's approval.
When... In fact, I don't like my EFT therapist.
The fact that I don't like my EFT therapist right now.
Who's making me work through this.
Who's making me work through this.
Maybe I can work through this.
Maybe I can work through this.
Yeah, this longing for Dad's approval.
This longing for Dad's approval.
This little girl inside.
This little girl inside.
Is still longing for Dad's approval.
Still longing for Dad's approval.
This little girl inside.
This little girl inside.
Is still longing for Dad's approval.
Still longing for Dad's approval.
Stop yelling at me.
Stop yelling at me.
Stop yelling at me.
Stop yelling at me.
Back of the head. Quotes. Open. Downward right. Downward left. Biggest circle you could find. Other direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Floor to ceiling eye roll. Still longing for Dad's approval.
Still longing for Dad's approval.
This sadness.
This sadness.
Remaining sadness.
Remaining sadness.
Still longing for Dad's approval.
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 This remaining sadness.
Remaining sadness.
Still longing for Dad's approval.
Still longing for Dad's approval.
This little girl inside.
This little girl inside.
Still longing for Dad's approval.
Still longing for Dad's approval.
Maybe we can let that go.
Maybe we can let that go.
Maybe I can approve of myself.
Maybe I can approve of myself.
Fully and completely.
Fully and completely.
Maybe I can choose to approve of myself.
Maybe I can choose to approve of myself.
Fully and completely.
Fully and completely.
And know that my dad has done.
Know that my dad has done
the best job that he could.
The best job that he could.
Deep full breath in. Out. So is it sadness, or is it the longing for Dad's approval, or is it both? Because I'd like to get both to a 0. So just check, can you separate them? Sadness versus...
Still longing for Dad's approval, I think, is higher than the sadness at this point.
What's the number I'm longing?
He's never said he approves of anything, even to this day. But it's funny because he'll tell my friends he's proud of me.
Okay.
And I hear from them, but he'll never say anything to me.
Even though
Dad never says he approves of me.
Dad never says he approves of me.
I can approve of me.
Or he can approve of me.
Even though Dad never says he approves of me.
Even though Dad never says he approves of me.
I can approve of me.
I can approve of me.
Fully and completely.
Fully and completely.
Even though Dad never says he approves of me.
Even though Dad never says he approves of me.
He might tell my friends that he approves of me.
He might tell my friends that he approves of me.
But man, it'd be nice to hear it right from him.
But man, it'd be nice to hear it right from him.
Regardless of that.
Regardless of that.
I can approve of myself.
I can approve of myself.
Without any exceptions.
Without any exceptions.
Still longing for Dad's approval.
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 This remaining feeling.
This remaining feeling.
Like I'm longing for Dad's approval.
Like I'm longing for Dad's approval.
This little girl inside.
This little girl inside.
Is still longing for Dad's approval.
Still longing for Dad's approval.
Be nice to hear it from him.
Be nice to hear it from him.
Not from my friends.
Not from my friends.
But right from him.
But right from him.
That he approves from me.
That he approves of me.
We'll just do floor to ceiling eye roll. This remaining feeling.
This remaining feeling.
Longing for Dad's approval.
Longing for Dad's approval.
This remaining feeling.
This remaining feeling.
Longing for Dad's approval.
Longing for Dad's approval.
This remaining feeling.
This remaining feeling.
Longing for Dad's approval.
Longing for Dad's approval.
This remaining feeling.
This remaining feeling.
Still longing for Dad's approval.
Still longing for Dad's approval.
Maybe I can approve of myself.
Maybe I can approve of myself.
No, I still need Dad's approval.
No, I still need Dad's approval.
Maybe I can approve of myself.
Maybe I can approve of myself.
No, I still need Dad's approval.
No, I still need Dad's approval.
I can't just approve of myself.
I can't just approve of myself.
I need Dad's approval.
I need Dad's approval.
But maybe I can just approve of myself.
But maybe I can just approve of myself.
And know that my dad's done.
And know that my dad's done.
The best job that he could.
Best job that he could.
And know that my dad has done.
And know that my dad has done.
The best job that he could.
The best job that he could.
Good. Deep full breath in. And just check in with your number saying, so long for my dad's approval.
So long for my dad's approval. Maybe a 3.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
This remaining feeling.
This remaining feeling.
Still longing for Dad's approval.
Still longing for Dad's approval.
This remaining feeling.
This remaining feeling.
Still longing for Dad's approval.
Still longing for Dad's approval.
So it'd be so nice to hear it from him.
It'd be so nice to hear it from him.
Maybe I can just hear it from myself.
Maybe I can just hear it from myself.
No, I need to hear it from him.
No, I need to hear it from him. This remaining feeling.
This remaining feeling.
Like I still need Dad's approval.
I still need Dad's approval.
This remaining feeling.
This remaining feeling.
Still need Dad's approval.
Still need Dad's approval.
This longing for Dad's approval.
This longing for Dad's approval.
Maybe I can let that longing go.
Maybe I can let that longing go.
And just approve of myself.
And just approve of myself.
I know that my dad's done.
Know that my dad's done
the best job that he could.
The best job that he could.
Maybe he doesn't approve of himself.
Maybe he doesn't approve of himself.
Deep full breath in. And maybe that's why he doesn't approve of you. Give me a number when you think of it.
1.
Just say out loud, this longing I have for Dad's approval.
This longing that I have for Dad's approval.
This little girl inside that would just desperately want Dad's approval.
This little girl inside that desperately wants Dad's approval.
A 1? 2?
I'd say 0 to 1.
Anything else that comes up? What's the next?
I'm tired.
Sometimes we get really tired because we've been holding on to it for so long, right? And we're not aware that the sadness is there even. And yet we're...
I knew, and I've worked through this on my own, as in I knew where it stemmed from. I figured this out a few years ago. I've said these things to myself that you're saying, but I've never felt this way about it.
To process it.
I've never been able to release it like this.
Yeah.
I've said that's all he knows how to do. This is, I have to accept him for who he is. Maybe this is all he knew. He did the best he could, but I've said all those things.
But just in your head.
But I've never released it.
Yeah. So what we're doing is we're releasing the emotional pattern in your body, the energetic pattern that you're vibrationally holding. The energy that's in the body is still stuck in that little girl wanting approval. So every time you go and see Dad or talk to Dad, you're still in a vibration, or the energy around you that's within you is still longing for Dad's approval. So all you keep seeing is more wanting Dad's approval.
Right.
Or you attract other people into your life, more particularly men into your life, that might be more critical. That's a whole other session now, maybe.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Maybe we'll do just one more round on longing Dad's approval. Even though I still have some of this feeling inside.
Even though I still have some of this feeling inside.
I would really like Dad's approval.
I would really like Dad's approval.
I can approve of myself.
I can approve of myself.
Without any exceptions.
Without any exceptions.
This remaining feeling.
This remaining feeling.
The little girl inside.
The little girl inside.
It wishes Dad would stop yelling.
It wishes Dad would stop yelling.
Stop being so stern.
Stop being so stern.
Stop yelling at me.
Stop yelling at me.
I'm doing the best I can.
I'm doing the best I can.
Why can't you just approve of me?
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 Accept who I am and what I do.
Accept who I am and what I do.
Stop making me out to be the bad one.
Stop making me out to be the bad one.
Still longing for Dad's approval.
Still longing for Dad's approval.
Maybe I can let that longing go.
Maybe I can let that longing go.
Love and accept myself.
Love and accept myself.
Just the way I am.
Just the way I am.
Deep full breath in. And out. Say, I'm the bad one.
I'm the bad one.
So you were kind of made out to be the bad one amongst you and your siblings?
Yes.
How does that resonate, or how does that feel for you when you say...
I don't mind that.
Oh, that's fine. Have you always been okay with that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay being different.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm still me, I'm original, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
That doesn't bother me.
And say I'm still longing for Dad's approval, or imagine a scenario where, let's say your dad came in and sat down and you said, Dad, guess what I did? And he responds with, ugh.
He doesn't sit down long enough to converse with. He doesn't.
So how do you know he disapproves of you then?
Now, at this stage of the game, if we are in a family functions or anything like that, it's always, the football game, or you're just having drinks in a conversation where it's like him and the boys. And I mean, when I go over to visit one-on-one, he's too busy always doing something around the house to even sit down and talk. So it's always just me and my mom sitting down and talking, where he'll come in the room and say, hi, how's it going? And, oh, well, I gotta go do this. He doesn't stay around long enough.
So what's the feeling underneath that?
That's okay, because I know it's just uncomfortable for him.
Because he doesn't know how to.
He doesn't know how. And that's okay. Like, I'm learning to accept. He just doesn't know how.
Is there anything that comes up for you when you think of that scenario?
No.
Okay. Emotionally, in that situation, would anything come up for you?
No.
Okay.
No. But you're saying, how do I know? When I was living in Vancouver, my parents own a little bar. So when I moved back from Vancouver, I went to help him kind of manage and run the bar. They had only had it for about a year at that point. And that was what was supposed to happen. But when I got there and tried to implement new things and try new things, it was against what he wanted, and I couldn't change anything. I couldn't do anything. Every idea I had was stifled. That's not the way you do it. This is how you do it. So, I mean, just that working with him process, I was there for about a year, and I had to leave because I couldn't work under those conditions, and I was beginning to resent him all over again, and so I had to leave.
Does anything come up for you when you think of that scenario?
Not anymore. No.
No resentment? No, dad's so stubborn I can't work with him?
That's true. It's a true statement, but there's no feelings that come with that anymore. Like, this was only a few years ago, so I was able to differentiate that, and like I said, I've been really working to accept him how he is.
Yes.
And at the time, I was just, forget this. I'm moving on, and it was frustrating. But
how frustrating was it on a scale of 1 to 10?
On a daily basis? It was very frustrating. I'm going to say like 8 or 9.
Let's just do 1 or 2 rounds.
Right.
Even though it was really frustrating to work with Dad, and he squashed all of my ideas.
Yeah.
I can love and accept myself.
Yeah.
Even though
it
was really frustrating to work with my dad that year.
It was really frustrating to work with my dad that year.
I can love and accept myself.
I can love and accept myself.
Fully and completely.
Fully and completely.
Even though it was really frustrating.
On a daily basis.
On a daily basis. To work with my dad that year. Just squashed all of my ideas. Regardless of that. I can love and accept myself. Fully and completely. All this frustration with dad. Squashing my ideas. He wants to run his bar. The way he runs it. All this remaining frustration. All this frustration with dad. Man, he's hard to work with. That was the longest year ever. So hard to work with dad. He's so frustrating. So stubborn in his ways. Back of the hand. Close, open, right, left. Big circle. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All this frustration with dad. It was so hard to work with him that year. All this frustration with dad. So hard to work with him. Squashing my ideas. Being so stubborn. All this frustration. Working with dad. Deep pull back in. And just say he was so hard to work with that year.
I laugh at it now.
Is it a 0 when you think of it in terms of frustration?
Yeah. I've let that go.
Is it anything to do with you?
I don't think so. No.
And the longing inside. If you went back to the longing for his approval.
I don't need it anymore.
Oh.
Did I really say that?
I don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
Anything that comes up.
No.
Awesome.
Other than I still don't like you.
For making you go through it? Okay. Does it feel better?
No, this is good. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And you're free to go. And you're free to approve of yourself.
Yay.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Namaste.